Good evening. This is Living in Jacksonville. It's Thursday night. It's 8 o'clock, and this is a perfect day to be doing our show. I'm super excited because on the west coast of Florida, I want to put my hands up in prayers for all the families on the Panhandle. I know that Hurricane Helene is right in between Tallahassee and Gainesville area, hitting mainland. So my prayers go out to all families out there that are embracing themselves. Unfortunately, in Florida, we are in an area where hurricanes are one downfall. It's an amazing place to live here in Florida, but we are susceptible to hurricanes. And so certainly we are very fortunate here in Jacksonville, as I say in all my previous shows and whatnot. We are not as susceptible to hurricanes, but we are susceptible and very cautious with storms. And so today, a lot of people have hunkered down. A lot of businesses closed. We went out to dinner tonight. Most of the restaurants were closed. We found one in Ponte Vedra, one or two that were still open, but we're being cautiously safe and keeping everybody in our prayers that everybody's safe tonight after the storm hits mainland in the Gulf Coast. Other than that, though, we're going to kind of detract from that a little bit. I have a special show tonight. This is Living in Jacksonville channel, where our main conversations, of course, is about real estate. But not only that, we're talking about the lifestyle that Jacksonville and Northeast Florida has to offer. I got a little reverb there, so I was wondering what that was. But so tonight, I'm very, very honored to have a special guest to join me. I don't take it very lightly when I don't just look at him as a fellow business owner in town, but also a neighbor and friend who's willing to take their time out to discuss something that I think is important and why I would say 80% of my clients call me and relocate to Northeast Florida. And that is for a better life, not just for themselves, but for their family. Okay. I moved here 6 years ago for my daughters. I didn't pick Northeast Florida or St. Johns County for me. I picked it for my daughters, and I'm pretty sure I want to find out why this gentleman here that's joining us tonight moved here from Ireland, and kind of dig into his story because he has a soccer background. And anyone I ever talked to about Gavin, whenever I mention Good Lad Soccer or his training camps or his personal training, anyone I talk to in my area that their child has been involved with this gentleman or his organization, I've never heard anything but positive feedback, except maybe some of the individual one-on-one coaching prices, very expensive. Just kidding, Gavin. I'm joking. But the bottom line is, I want to tell you, sir, that I have a lot of respect for anybody that's in not only education, but anything that has to do with making our children better. And you genuinely, you and your program truly do contribute to making our children better. And I want to say thank you for that.
Well, geez, Greg, thank you very much. I appreciate that. There, you're putting me under no pressure now. Give me an introduction like that. I better live up to it now and practice now. Keep practicing what I preach for sure, especially with this interview for the next hour.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to dig into that a little bit. So the reason I got to know Gavin is because I have Hannah, who's now 7 years old, and as a parent, we're always looking for whatever it is that our children are most interested in that's productive to detract them from not just the bad things in the world like drugs and alcohol and bad people, but now we're dealing with technology, this right here, right? And so, you know, my job as a parent is to make sure that my daughters, whatever they show interest in, that I feed that and make sure that I guide them properly. And of course, as parents, we want our kids to be successful. And I have one daughter that's heavily into dance, my older daughter, and then I have my younger daughter who's heavily into soccer and or football, as in respect, because I transplant to European parents. But my daughter Hannah is 7 and loves soccer, and I just happen to be fortunate that I live very close proximity, and I won't say where, but I happen to be in close proximity to this gentleman and developed a relationship that he agreed to come on my show tonight. But really quick, I want to say to anybody that's watching, this is one show where I want it to be interactive. So if you're watching from wherever you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. If you know Coach Gavin, if you've been in his program, if you're a parent and you have any appreciation for what this man does, please, from the bottom of my heart, please comment tonight, because there's no benefit. He just agreed to come join me for an hour to totally have a conversation. I didn't give him, we didn't equip for this at all. I didn't say, hey, I'm going to ask you about this or anything. So he completely came in having no idea what he's getting himself into. But if you have anything to say to him, please make sure you put it in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. And somebody already did that. Yay, Coach Gavin. All right. So all of the family members or friends, probably somebody right off the bat, but
I know now you're opening me up to all sorts there now with those comments. I know there's people watching from Ireland, watching from England, and
you're completely vulnerable. So
yeah, exactly.
So Hannah's been playing soccer in rec here in St. Johns County for a very young age. She's 7 or 8 now. She's been playing 3 years, and she just started competitive. And this summer was the first time that I thought to myself, okay, if she's going to do competitive soccer, she needs to have a little bit of outside training, because recreational soccer here is fun, right? But then when you get into competitive, we've noticed from the level of recreational fun, competitive seems like a really big jump. And so we weren't sure if she was ready for that or not, but yet at the same time, she was playing well and we didn't want to hold her back, right? So we decided we're going to let her try out for competitive. She ends up playing competitive. We just started, but we decided that we would go ahead and enroll her in your camp this summer. Now, before we get into that, because I want people to keep watching, Gavin, I want to talk about you a little bit. Okay.
Yes.
So you're from Ireland. Where in Ireland? North, south?
No, born and raised in Donegal in Ireland, up in the northwest there. So it's known as the Forgotten County in the Republic of Ireland. It's up there in the top, really top left, and it's on the last periphery of Europe, as my father says, and it's right there. It shares a border with Northern Ireland. So you're not your stone's throw. Maybe I'm trying to think the biggest city, maybe Belfast would be the biggest city that would be closest in proximity to me. You're about 3 hours south or 3 hours north, even I should say, of Dublin, maybe Galway, that people listening may know. So you're up there. This next stop is like Labrador or British Newfoundland in Canada. You're up, so you're well away from Ponte Vedra Beach, and you're well away from Knockatee when you're living there.
Yeah, and I can't wait to get to how the hell you ended up here. But anyway, okay. So, and I had to ask how far you were from Dublin, because I haven't been to Ireland yet, but I have to say that I can't wait to visit, because my brother, who's visiting right now. So my mother, her father was from Ireland, and my mother's mother was from Scotland. Now, if anybody's somewhat, I don't want to say educated, but knows what's going on, Northern and Southern Ireland, there's a little Protestant Catholic thing going on. And so my mother was a product of that. She's no longer around, God bless her heart. But if I had to choose between Scotland and Ireland, and if any of my family are watching from Europe right now, please forgive me. I'm more interested in Ireland than I am Scotland, to be honest. So
there you
regardless, go. Yeah. So my brother went there and said an absolutely beautiful, beautiful country. So how does one who grows up in this small town?
Yep.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your background, because I'm sure not a lot of people have really taken the time to go, where are you really from? how did you get into soccer and how did you get here? Can you give us I know you can't do it in 60 seconds, but kind of give us a rough synopsis of how you grew up and then how you came here.
I will, God, it's rewinding now back. That's right, going right down memory lane. So, my sporting journey started mostly, I'm not going to even lie to you, in track and field. My father, he was Irish decathlon champion back in the early 80s. And so track and field was my first thing. And, it just started off when I was in around Hannah's age, your daughter's age, and just a little bit of soccer here, a little bit of soccer there. And all of a sudden, I got picked for district teams. We built a version of maybe the St. John's County, making that kind of level. And then all of a sudden, then I got sent. My big break kind of started in 2003. I didn't even think I was very good at soccer, and I got sent to Irish tryouts in Dublin to make the No Nations Cup in Paris. And I went, and I got chosen as the first choice goalkeeper after 2 months of trials. And my eyes kind of opened. I was like, oh my God, I barely do this. And all of a sudden, I'm the best 12-year-old in Ireland at this. I was like, imagine if I went full time. So I was at that point, I was doing the track and field and I was doing the soccer. And, me and my father, we still joke about it now. I broke his heart, at the age of 13 when I turned in and said to him, Dad, I think I'm going to go full time to the soccer. And he says, no, whatever you do, give it 100%. That's the kind of way I was raised in Ireland. You never, there's no 50% or, you never, no half measures, I should say, So that's when I went full go at the soccer. And lucky enough, then straight away, almost the trials that Chelsea started, the trials at Manchester City started. And I was going over and back across from England. And that's the part about Ireland. You have to leave Ireland in order to take your talents to another level. To paraphrase LeBron James, you have to leave rural Ireland because there's nothing you have to go to it. It's not going to come to you. So fast forward a few years, and I get signed by West Bromwich Albion in England. When Americans ask me what kind of level club is that, I would maybe link it to the same size maybe as the Cincinnati Bengals. They're a team, they're not quite up there, they're not quite down there, they're kind of in the middle, like a 500 level club. So I went to there, and I had to leave home at 16, and I moved to England full time. Mum and dad are back in Ireland. My brother and sister are back in Ireland, and I'm living in Birmingham in central England. And I was there for 2 years, and it was the best educational life that I could, both on and off the field. It turned me in. I left home as a kid, and it turned me into a man overnight. And unfortunately, 2-3 years into it, I got serious left knee injury. I show the kids now I still got a nice scar on my left knee. And once you get injured at that elite level, you're almost like an elite car with a fender bender. There's something. It's very hard to get back to that pinnacle that I was at. So got released from my contract. I went to another few clubs in England, but injuries, and then you're just one of a number. So I'll never forget. I was up the creek without a paddle. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I went to these tryouts in northeast England to maybe potentially get a scholarship to America. I never forget, I got an email from Jacksonville University. The title of the email was, "Would you like to come play in Florida?" ? And I thought Willy Wonka's golden ticket dropped into my inbox. These spam emails you get. And I was agreeing to the email. I was saying yes, even before I read to the bottom of it, And that was with Coach Mike Johnson at Jacksonville University. So fast forward September of 2011, I set foot in Jacksonville, Florida, and over there on Merrill Road. So it's another education in itself, So, but as soon as I landed here, that to coin that phrase, America's the land of opportunity. I could see that in abundance coming from rural Ireland, coming to America, and we can touch on it later if you like. But I really do see America, it really is 100% the land of opportunity. And I says, this is it. This is the country for me. And graduated JU, Jackson, Gulat Soccer started when I graduated because I needed just to make rent. When I first came out of college, I was like everyone else watching this, struggling to pay rent. Back in 2014, Gulat Soccer started as a little side hustle. Went from one client to 2 to 10 to 20, and then just kept going. And fast forward September 2019, I bought Knockety, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's incredible. Okay, so much to unpack, but
Oh
really quick
yeah,
before I start talking, because I got so many questions for you, I've got to share this. Michael Howell, we love Coach Gavin. My daughter's favorite expression of his is explain yourself. She has really improved her skills by training with Coach Gavin. All right. Amaral SM1, my daughter loves Coach Gavin's style of training. Luis Calderon, best coach
there
in
we go.
Jacksonville and Florida, truly develops players and pushes them to their limits and teaches them how to rise above. Oh my! All right, coach. Let's reverse.
Yes.
There were so many nuggets I want to ask you. You said your dad was a decathlon athlete, right? And you were track
Yeah.
and field. What were you doing in track? Because you're tall. How tall are you?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm 6'6". Well,
Is that
my mother
normal
takes the
for
credit for that. Well fed from day one.
Is that normal for professional soccer players?
Yeah, for goalkeeping, yeah, they generally like you over 6'2". So 6'6". Yeah, I was blessed with height. Like I said, my mother takes the credit for that. Well fed from day one. So as the younger kids always ask me, how come you're so tall? And I says, ask my mother, stay away from Irish potatoes if you want. That's what I joke with the 7 and 8 year olds, and they ask me. So stay away from those if you, unless you'll be as tall as me.
Okay. So again, I'm not. I did coach rec soccer because I'm a control freak, and I like to make sure that my daughter is. I want to make sure she's developing, and the only way I could control that in something as simple as just having fun in rec soccer was to be a coach. And so I'm going to unpack that too because I want to know your opinion on coaching as well. And you can criticize me; I won't be hurt. But so what you're saying is goalies are naturally supposed to be taller, and so that
Yeah.
contributed to your natural talent.
Yeah, and the going back to that the track and field, that was a great honing. It taught me how to be an athlete, how to move like an athlete, how to carry myself, posture, how to run properly, all that. So a lot of the transferable skills were into goalkeeping. And looking back now, I'm sitting here as a 33-year-old man compared to back when I was 13. I made the decision to go to the goalkeeping. And I did. I was one of the coaches when I went to England told me that you're an athlete with gloves on. And I found that when I went to the real pinnacle in England and I was at the tip top, I could out jump them, outrun them, all that kind of stuff. But when it came to that real tactical ability with the ball, if you didn't even do it now with my hand, that real nuance, that's where I struggled. So always that, God, you're in a bit deep then when you're at the pinnacle of English soccer, and you've maybe think, oh, if I picked the wrong sports, but no, we're going to just sum it up now, that track and field, and I would recommend it. I like the way a lot of kids that I coach do the speed and agility, and there's a good track and field program over there at Bartram. I know a couple of their coaches are watching here tonight, so happy to give them a little shout out as well. But yeah, the track and field and soccer, lucky enough for me, just went hand in hand for me early
Okay,
years when I was Hannah's age.
so let's pack it a little more in here. So as a goalkeeper, were you a sprinter in
So
track?
lucky enough, yeah. So it's written, and then obviously the hurdles and things like that there, and the multi events. Obviously, it's the kind of the younger version of the training for the decathlon as well. Follow my father's footsteps, like so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So that's the kind of the road I was going down.
Okay, and so on other positions on the field, would a long distance running also contribute to that? Because especially like mid wing, you're covering a lot of field. Would you say that the long distance runner does that contribute also, or is it more?
Yes, yes and no. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. That one, the good thing with sprints, a lot of explosive movements, like it is in soccer, and I could bore you, and I could be good. We could go into the real nuances of soccer coaching. I could, make your subscribers go to zero and send everybody to sleep if you really want to talk about, the movements of a soccer player throughout 90 minutes. If you think, long distance track, you're running in a straight line where you think of Hannah, your daughter, or any of her teammates, or anyone's seen any games at Davis Park, Patton Park, just for example. Players are constantly cutting, changing direction. It's short bursts followed by 30 to 45 seconds of recovery, followed by another short burst. So it's more the explosive side of things where, yeah, it gives you a good base to work off cardiovascularly. But as just for running a straight line, you come to a good lad soccer session, you wouldn't see many players just running a straight line for months and days and weeks on end. It's not game realistic. And to hold like one of the best coaches in the world, Jose Mourinho, a pianist plays the piano, doesn't run around the piano. So you have to play the game, to improve at the game, not run around the field that it's played on. So
Okay. All right. So I was only asking that because I was a cross country runner. I played all sports, including soccer, from an early age. But I was a runner. I wasn't a team player. I was an individual athlete, and I was a long distance runner up to the collegiate level. But if I were to tell Hannah, I want you to get better, she should be doing sprints around the track, not doing miles around the track. Is that what you're saying?
it comes down to the position that she's playing as well. You got to find the right balance, and it goes back to that little saying that I said, to get better at soccer, you play soccer and spend time and effort with the ball at your feet, and like I said, I was good, being a good athlete took me to a certain level, but when it came to the real tip of the iceberg, was it enough time spent with the ball at my feet? That was the deciding factor, and that's something I try to tell athletes now that I've been there. I've been at the coalface, I've been there, seen it, done it, and that was the small, fine details. You know what I mean? It's like I said, you want to be a soccer player, you train, you act, that ball is your best friend.
Okay. I was only asking that because my thought was if you have higher endurance from long distance running, you'll be able to cover the field more. And I always feel when these young players come out at the beginning of the season, Coach Gavin, I feel, including Hannah, and I lift my daughter up. She plays phenomenal. At the same time, I said, Hannah, it takes you mid-season to take off. It's like as if she should have been training more before season, or she should have been running more before season, because she's way stronger about fourth, fifth game in, and that's way too late in the season anyway, especially when you start getting to a competitive level. So, I was like, well, I'm a runner. Maybe I'll take her around the blocks a few times, which is it's a little tough for a 7-year-old to follow her dad for, a few times around our block. But I always justify, well, you'll build your endurance. You'll last longer in the field. That second half, when other players are tired, you got the endurance. But from what you're telling me, there's more of an explosiveness that they get from that sprint work.
And you look at anything, and like I said, look, talking about the science of coaching, like anybody's going to cardiovascular skills will improve with age over time as muscular density and all that side of things improve. But as we're getting into the swing of things after 4 or 5 games, you switch on a TV there now, and this Saturday morning you watch one of the Premier League games on USA or NBC. That even those guys, and they're the creme de la creme, and they're only getting into it after 4, 5, 6 games. So it's it's one of those. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the others. They say in Ireland, you got to find the right balance, especially in the youth side of things, where you don't want to lead to burnout, and that's something I know we can touch on later. Especially at the younger age, you got to keep it fun. You got to keep it where they're coming to soccer rather than soccer coming to them. Would be the best way of putting it. So, but no, like I said, going into the finer details of growth of a soccer player, cardio, running, laps, all that good side of things, yeah, it can be done. But everything, as they say, to give a politician answer, everything in moderation.
Yeah. All right. I like that. I like that response. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So let's get into more controversial stuff. All right. So I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'm just kidding. But seriously, you grew up, your dad was an athlete. You grew up in Ireland. I imagine soccer or football was pretty big. Is it like every kid's dream, like NBA, American football is here growing up in Ireland? Is that the same? Is that relative?
Yeah, I'll be 100%. You've hit the nail on the head. To get signed by as we call it there, a cross channel, because you're going across the Irish Sea to an English club. That is what you want to do. That's what you want to get signed by. So that's what out of all the hundreds and thousands that play soccer in Ireland, 3% get an opportunity to go and try out. In Ireland, I didn't realize these numbers until it was told to me years later. So you have to be in the top 3% for your age in all of Ireland to get a tryout in England, and then 1% of that 3% get signed. So you are small minor details, to get across there.
Okay, so you're a nice guy. You're always a gentleman. around the neighborhood. I see you and your daughter and your wife and the dog, and I think I saw some parents and everything. You're a super nice guy. Now, when you're growing up in Ireland and your dad's an athlete, okay, and you start off a runner and you find out you have a soccer talent, can you tell me that the pressure as a young man playing the game, that your parents or your dad or your coaches, were they intense back then?
No, not at all. Not at all. The support was unbelievable. You have to go anywhere. Say we live in rural Ireland, so we lived in. God, I'm trying to think. Maybe we lived in Palatka, Green Cove Springs, and all the training. Most of the training in Ireland is done, in or the equivalent of Orlando. So it's a 3 hour drive away. Take you there. Any gear you need, anything you need is supplied, but it's up to you. The support, the love, that system's there. At the end of the day, the way we were raised, once you cross the white line, your backside's on its own out there. So the love, support, the guidance is there, mentally, physically, but it's up to you. Take it or leave it.
Okay, so when I was coaching rec, I would yell a lot as a coach. And everybody that knows in Ponte Vedra, and I'm going to throw myself under the bus. I was so intense. I lived through my childhood. And you're just a new dad. You're a new dad. How old is Isla Rose? I mean, she's what? One, two?
Two. She's 2 years old, but she's going on 22 the way she acts,
Yeah. I get it. But like when you're out there and your little one's playing and you're an ex-athlete, you can't help but get completely wrapped in the game, right? And I grew up like you, okay? My mother was, my parents were from World War II Europe. My dad was Italian, grew up in France. They were in South Africa. They went through a lot. My mother grew up had Irish parents, grew up in Scotland, England, ended up in Africa as well. They were kicked out of there, just all over the place, right? So, and one of 4 boys. Do you have any siblings?
I do indeed. My sister Shauna lives in Southwest Ireland, and my brother Matthew is in London.
And they're still there?
Oh yeah, they're still there, yeah.
Are they proud of you for trading off to become American?
Well, you know yourself. Well, yeah. After a few pints of Guinness, when we all get together, they tell you that they're proud. You know what I mean? But that's like any sibling. You know what I mean?
They're just jealous, Gavin.
Your flaws.
They're just jealous, Gavin. That's all they're doing. They're just pure animosity.
I'll send this recording to them. They'll be delighted with that. Yeah.
Absolutely, it'll be recorded. You can send it to them afterwards. All right. So my point being is that because I came from a family of the youngest of 4 boys, and my mother and father, and if you read my newsletter, it says the hardest working agent in Jacksonville. I truly believe that it was ingrained in me that nothing was for free and that results came from hard work. And I put myself out there, and I'm okay. That's who I am. And if people don't like it, that's okay. I always say, listen, we're not always going to agree. We can agree to disagree. But I always feel like sometimes as parents, we coddle our children a little bit too much. And we live in a society in America where everything is, we want everything right away, right? Like a microwave oven. Everything, we want results right away. And the reality is that it takes work and dedication and focus. And it's harder and harder in this world to raise our children with that work ethic, the dedication and focus. And so I don't yell because I like to yell. I get emotionally connected with the children on the field. And then sometimes I'm yelling because they're not in the right position or whatever like that. So now we have a coach or whatever, and she said, no yelling. And as a matter of fact, as a parent, I don't want you to contact me after a game for at least 24 hours. And I'm not that parent. In fact, I haven't said anything at all. I've completely been hands off. But I've watched some other coaches in these competitive soccer that I do see yelling like boys coaches, and they're very aggressive. And I find nothing wrong with that. What's What's your thoughts on that without getting yourself in trouble? I mean, is there a fine line of when you're emotionally invested in these children? Is it okay to get angry? Is it okay to yell once in a while? I'm just curious.
Hey, so I come on here. You'll never hear me critique or criticize another coach because I know how hard it is out there where they're giving up their time, they're away from their family, they're traveling the length and breadth of Florida to coach kids. So you'll never hear me critique anyone. But there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I think the more coaching experience that you have, I think you can. The one thing that I always swear, and I never forget what it's like to be a player, and I think it's like any walk of life or any business, you quickly got to assess what pushes a player's button. And I've been doing this now, God, for years, and God, I have an Excel spreadsheet with every single kid that I've coached, and it's gone well past the 2-3 thousand mark now at the stage after 10 years. But every player is different, and you got to quickly assess what pushes their buttons. Just to paint it with a broad brush to kind of go back on myself is boys, it's the carrot and stick. Oh, I bet you can't do this. Look at me. I bet you can't prove me wrong. That's what keeps them motivated young men. Where when you're coaching the female side of things, it's more encouragement. Look, let's work this together. This is how we're going to do. This is how we're going to achieve. And you branch that, that. But also one thing that American kids love is what we're doing. So you have to explain it well, why we're doing it, and how it can win. If you ever come to a Good Lad Soccer, anything, you'll see there the three there, like the common denominator of what the whole Good Lad Soccer is doing. What we're doing. So explain it well, why we're doing it, what it makes us better at, and how can I win. Keep it competitive. And that's when I quickly discovered that when I was coaching after I came out of Jacksonville University in 2014, and that's when Good Lad Soccer blew up. So if you just keep in those three things. But like going back to your question, screaming, not screaming, again, it's hard to say when it's every scenario is different.
I think what you're telling me is if you're an amazing coach and you've been coaching for years and you get a little out of hand, it's okay. But if you're just out there screaming and you have no record of any history of success, then you really haven't justified why you're screaming. But what I love,
I was, yeah, and even just I know Mike Hoyle there dropped a message, and I always reiterate this even to his daughter. Eden was coaching a few weeks back, and I was saying to her, the coaches, never forget, the coach is the easiest job. The coach is the easy job. Everybody's the best player in the world outside the lines. You've got that extra second, you're stand back. And that's why I always swear I never forget what as a player, even when I was playing in England, playing for Ireland, playing at Jacksonville University, and coach would be screaming and yelling. And I used to think, you never have the guts to say it, but you come in then and you show me how it's done when you have a split second, you have 0.3 of a second to make 2 or 3 choices to play which pass. It's easy when you're on the outside, as I said, say to the kids that I coach, including Eden, like you just mentioned there, when you're standing there in your nice comfortable Nikes and you got your nice jacket on, it's easy. It's easy. But when you're there and there's one player coming behind you, two coming to the side of you, you got to make a choice. So that's why I always never forget what it's like to be a player, and always keep that in mind.
wow, you just made me feel horrible about myself in the short span of coaching. But you know what? It's real. I like that answer, and that makes you more qualified to be doing what you're doing. Let's see. DeBarda, ha ha ha, the parent gave you a yellow card for yelling. Actually, I've had to, unfortunately, I'm going to confess, I've had to break up a parent on my kids' team, a parent of one of my players, from the coach of the other team. I did have to call off a casual rec game. But hey, people, listen. St. Johns County, we are known for some of the best public schools in the state of Florida. We have a fantastic education system. We have people that care. We have people that do this for next to nothing in pay, and they deserve more money for what they do. Because, God, we don't have school tomorrow because it's hurricane. And I'm like, what are we going to do tomorrow? My wife and I both work, and we're like, we wish we could just hand off our kids to school teachers. But we hand off our children every day to educators, coaches, and they do the hardest job in the world, and they're not compensated enough. And it's not because they do it just purely for the money, because they don't get paid much. They do it for the love and what comes out of the heart. So that's why I commended you earlier on for what you do. As many kids that you coached and watched and everything, and you can sit there and go, I can watch from their point of view when you're in a game and you're faced with all these decisions or whatever. It's easy for the coach to scream on the sideline. But I just had to ask selfishly for myself, because I can be, what do you call it, an arse? I can be an arse from the sidelines. But I do it. I think the important part is that kids know that you want the best for them and you want love for them. You love them so much that you want them to succeed and you want them to win. And so one of the things you said there was not only the how and the why, which is for everything, guys. This show is not just about soccer. It's about development in life. Everything we should be teaching our kids is why. First off, why are you doing it? Do you want to do it? We're not pushing them to play soccer or whatever it is. That we're not fulfilling our own dreams through them, that they're doing something they truly have interest and desire in doing it, why they're doing it and how to do it. But also it's important also, which we're losing, I think, is that we're not wanting to be the second runner up. Okay. I don't care what anybody says. I was a cross country runner. Second place is the first loser. And I still stand by that. I'm sorry. And I think that the success in life is striving to win. And you said we're telling them, teaching them why, how we win. And that's the part that I really think is important. But how we win is the determination based on the work and the skills and all the combination of that as well. So, okay, now I'm preaching way too much and I don't even coach. You're the coach. I just sell real estate. All right. Your dad. Was your dad? Did you feel like you were also making your dad proud when you were playing and when you went to England to play? I mean, was it important about your dad and your mom as well as just for yourself?
Suppose, yeah, you want to make them proud, like any child, no matter if it comes down to grades in school or anything you do, But was it the forefront of my mind? No, I wouldn't say so. Like, when you have that typical athlete mindset, this is for me, myself, and I, and how do I make it at this elite level, and that's one thing I found at 16 years old. You're very young to learn it, but you got to strip the emotion out of it a lot when you go over there. Once you're there, you're playing at that pro level at such a young age, where it's a waste of energy to think about what's going on back home. It's a waste. No, you have to be fully locked in and fully focused, you know which is hard when I know we were talking about it earlier, coming from an environment like where we live in, where you got to forget all that. Where if you do go and you across the sea to Europe or wherever or South America, wherever you go to play, even at an MLS club full time, you have to take the emotion out of it and be fully locked in on your job.
Okay. All right. So you end up getting injured. I read that on your webpage. You had some knee injuries. So you go from that level in England, and then you get an email or a call from Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville University, and I was like anyone, straight onto YouTube, looking up videos and look. I never heard of it.
Did you even know where Jacksonville, Florida was?
No, not a chance. I knew I wanted to go to either New York is before I understood the real extreme weather you get up there. New York, Florida, or California, because my father, like what I said, back in his track and field days, spent a bit of time in Santa Barbara when he was training for the Olympics, and that's why I knew I wanted to go to one of the three. And when an opportunity came to join Jacksonville University, I was like, hands down, this is the place for me. I never set foot in America until that day I landed in 2011, until it was September 9th, 2011. So it was my first ever time coming to America.
Okay. So how old were you? You got a full scholarship to play soccer
Yeah.
at Jacksonville University. How old were
Yeah,
you?
I was 20 at the time, September 2011. Yeah, born 91, so 20. Yeah, just turned 20.
Okay. So you just fly to Jacksonville, Florida, never been here. I assume you're on a student visa of some sort at this point.
Yeah, and in fact, myself and my wife, Lee, were actually talking about it a while ago, and it comes up because the 13th anniversary just went by, and she laughs. I came to America with $250 in my wallet, and my parents, they laugh about it now. And I remember my father saying to me in Dublin Airport, "Don't be spending it all at once because there's none more to be had." And I was like, "Ah." And then Dad goes, "Call us when you land in Boston." I was flying Dublin, Boston, Boston, Jacksonville. "Call us when you land." And my last words to my dad were, "I've no phone." Dad goes, "Figure it out," and that was it. And you went through the departure gate and figured out, and that's kind of been the way it's been ever since. And that's the way it was. But at the end of the day, they knew, and I knew I was going to a better, not to sound dying, but going to a better place. The fact that I was going to Florida on a full ride scholarship, again, I felt like I was getting my second opportunity from signing in England, the chance then to go to America. Like, because I kind of, I'd done my time in England, like, and I was up the creek without a paddle, and I was snookered. I was in between clubs, and I wasn't getting great offers. And I was, I went from a Premier League club, and then basically a version of, I went to maybe like being a part of an NFL level club down then to maybe like Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, like a minor league level club, and then they don't renew your contract, so you drop down. And I was like, oh my god, like this is getting heavy. So that's when the opportunity came to America. So I was like snatching your hand off, and I said, I'm going to make this work by hook or by crook.
Plus, you got a 4-year degree, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's I'll always be indebted to the Jacksonville University.
Okay, cool. I don't know much about Jacksonville University, but I do have clients that are moving here because their children are attending Jacksonville University. So you had a good experience at the University of Jacksonville, Jacksonville
Oh,
University.
hands down, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, like I said, always indebted to them, and the fact that I was able to even see so much of America when I first came here, because I was quite literally green behind the ears coming over. I was able to travel up and down the east coast of America playing games in different locations. So no, like
What division?
you'll never.
What division is it?
Division One, Division One, NCAA, Division One. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Did you ever think at that point that there was an opportunity after playing at Jacksonville University of playing professional soccer again in some level here in the U.S.?
No, because I was after that there. Then I had me fourth and final in the operation was at Jacksonville University, and I'm a realist. Every operation I was just getting, it was like taking two or three, another little chink in the armor, another 2 or 3%, and 2 or 3% at the elite level, is a Grand Canyon. So I knew I wasn't as good. And one thing I noticed when I first came here as well, the level of play was a lot more fitness based than technical based, and once you're in that environment for 3 years and the pro level, it's so intense. Once you're out of the pro environment for 3 or 4 years, it can move on. It can be like falling at the start line of a 100-meter race. It's very hard then to catch up.
Okay. All right. Very good. So I like that. One of the things I wanted to come back on is that Gavin, your personality type, just from an outsider looking in the interaction that I've had with you, and even inviting you on tonight. And this is one of my business principles. And my wife doesn't like this because my wife's very conservative. She's an introvert. But we have this saying that we always say in my network groups: we say yes and figure it out later, right? And that can get you in trouble sometimes. But what you were kind of alluding to, it's like when you got the email or the invite to come to Jacksonville, it was like, yes, you said you were all in. Just like when I told you about coming on this show tonight, you're like, yes, 100%. That's what you said to me. I feel like that is an attitude that is necessary for people to succeed, not just in the game of soccer or anything, but a willingness to put themselves out there 100% and give it their all, yet still be that realist. I think that's important too. Okay, so you're how many years at Jacksonville? 4 years university?
Yeah, so I was able to transfer credits to get in after playing pro. So long story short, yeah, I was there 3 years and graduated in May of 2014.
Okay, and then you start coaching locally younger players.
Yeah, and that's become the birth then of good lad soccer. I was dating and me lovely now wife Leah, and you come out of college, and all of a sudden umbilical cord, for not get too graphic, is snipped when as soon as you leave Jacksonville University. You've got this great apartment, you've got this magic card that covers all your meals, all your books, and graduation day you are on your own, and that's welcome to real America. So college was a great kind of litmus test to get me into living in America, but you are on your own. So I needed money now to say, cut a long story short. And all of a sudden, people are asking me, I just started coaching Jacksonville FC on the side. And a parent asked me one day, would you ever think of doing a private lesson? I said, well, I'm at a loose end. So I never, after the lesson, the parent handed me $40. My mind was blown. I was like, somebody thought my time was worth $40. I was like, I can't believe this. I can't believe it's somebody's so kind. And automatic meant my brain started going, if I just multiply that by 2, by 3, by 10, it'll take off. And so then that's when it comes back down to the go 100% in and figure it out later. I was like, I'm gonna make this work. And fast forward from 2014 to 2016, I seen there was a real open. And this is kind of when Good Lad Soccer really took off. I seen there was such an opening for intense kids that were like myself in Ireland that didn't want to use the summer months to play around, wanted to use the summer months for hard training. And also you can't do that in Florida during June and July. We get cooked alive. So I thought, what if I take it indoors and do something indoors? And I rented an indoor venue on Beach Boulevard. This is where my wife Leah takes the credit for being married to an entrepreneur. I'll give you facts straight on this interview. We had $10,000 saved up at the time, and the rent for the venue was $9,000. So I had to drain our savings, and we were just out of college. I was like, I can make this work. And she said, well, go for it. And if it doesn't work out, you have to put it back. So figure out a way to put it back. So lucky enough, I rented this venue over there on Beach Boulevard, and I was delighted with 90 kids signed up, 30 kids per week signed up. And I thought, oh my God, this is the start of it now. And all of a sudden I needed another space. So I went over to Emerson and I rented the Jacksonville Licensed Sportsplex for years. And then I've got a great relationship now with the people where Hannah went there at Jacksonville Skyline. So it's gone bigger again. And then as kids age on, I've got to open a second venue because they still want to do the Good Lad Soccer camps. Because I just treat the players and coach the players and run the camps how I wanted the camps to be run when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. And like I said earlier, I never forget what it's like to be a player. So then that was the start of it. And it's just gone, lucky enough, gone from strength to strength. But again, going back to just to piggyback off what you said, say yes and figure it out from there. I'm kind of like going to America, starting, being the first person to run an indoor soccer summer camp. To then we took it to another level a couple of years ago. We had to put a pause to it this year because of the beach restoration work, starting beach soccer tournaments. And now this year, we're going to do another 3v3, hopefully 5v5 tournaments now, where we get all the field permits lined up and sorted with the county. So you're constantly keeping it evolving, keeping it going. It keeps me fresh, keeps the players fresh, and just keep offering more to the community and seeing where it goes.
Wow. That's incredible, man. I just love your attitude. Like I said, just you're almost, you put it all on the line because you don't have a choice to fail. You have to succeed. But the other thing I want to say is, I married a phenomenal woman, and it took me a lot longer than you to figure out. I'm glad you figured it out earlier in the college level. I didn't meet Monica till I was 34. And quite honestly, I didn't deserve her before that. I had a lot of work to do to get to that. You were already probably a disciplined athlete at that time, but good for you for finding an amazing wife that was encouraging and supporting to you as well. Because behind every successful man is a good woman, and so I'm glad you give her accolades to that. Leah, if you're listening, kudos to you. I know it's not all him. I know him enough that I know it wasn't all him. But anyway, Gavin, I want to say, dude, I could talk to you for hours. You and I know that already because we've had some conversations that were way longer than they should have been, and I got in trouble for coming home so late. But Hannah truly did enjoy your summer camp. The fact that you were figuring out a way to get these kids indoors, the younger kids indoors like that, to that facility, and to see all playing. You got a big thing running, man. So kudos to you for that, and thank you. Because my daughter loved it. Here, just to blow you up even a little bit more, Nicole Gomez, best coach
Cheers,
ever.
Tommy.
Yeah, dude, you got a lot of fans, man. I do the show most Thursday nights, but I've never seen so much love for a coach like this for anybody on the show.
I'm getting a couple of texts.
I got some.
Yeah, I get a few text messages here. People like too shy to type in on the YouTube as well, or don't have a YouTube username. So I appreciate you, Tommy, watching as well.
What did they say? Anything good?
Nah, just too scared. Well, it's hit and miss. You know, you have a few friends that are giving me a hard time, and then you have a few parents as well. Let's say they would type in as well. A few kids saying they would do it without they didn't have to put their name on there. So I'll give them a shout out as well.
Can you tell me something though? I mean, in humility, but before I do, let me give myself an accolade. Just so you know, this is Dave Bardfield, Sid Martin repping. Just so you know, Gavin, I grew up internationally as well in a small, tiny island in the Caribbean called St. Martin. And Dave Bardfield is a childhood friend, and he's a crazy son of a gun. So, David, thank you for watching tonight. Honor and pleasure to reconnect, my friend. Awesome. That's what I love about this YouTube thing is it's allowed me to reconnect with people from all over the place. So, all the way from St. Martin via Boston, I believe. But thanks for watching, David. Awesome. Gavin.
Yes.
What do you think it is? Why do us parents have such an affinity for you and your coaching program? What is it that you think that people are so attracted to your program and you? Because honestly, dude, I'm going to say very humbly, and I'm not trying to blow up your ego. You don't need that. When I mention you, is it because you're so vested in making our children better? Is it the way you're doing it, or what is it, man? What's your secret sauce?
Gee, you're far too kind now. You're making me blush. So you, I think it's the way you're raised in Ireland as well. You have time for everybody. Everybody. Nobody's a nobody. That's the way you treat everybody. You give everybody the time of day. And that's why obviously it's the way you're raised in Ireland. You know everybody's name. You know people's family, the background, where they come from. You know what they're doing. So it's I kind of brought that with me to Florida. It was basically your family takes the credit for that one. Is how you're raised, and as for the coaching side of things, like I said, a few times I just treat players how I want to be treated, and even if there's just a kid that wants to make a varsity team or a JV team, or just wants to even get on the third or fourth level travel team at a club, I treat them the same way I would treat if you were going for a Division I scholarship at Clemson or FSU or some of the players that have coached or going to national team tryouts. So everybody is treated with the same time and respect, and I'm there, and the coach set up and they turn up and arrive. So it's kind of do unto others as you want to do unto you. That's that kind of way. So it's treat everybody how you want to be treated. And when it comes then to being real, when parents ask me about the intensity side of things as well, I'm just coaching them and treat them what it's like at a pro level. So if traveling to Knockety is too intense, or the training's too intense, I'm only a tip of the iceberg of what it's really like if you are serious about going to the other side and really going to the elite level, and going to the upper 1%, like where I was when I was a teenager. So, but no, going back, like just credit to the upbringing, teaching, treating others how you want to be treated, good with names, good with faces. And like I said, my grandfather, Goddy's long past now, but a great man. And I kind of grew up watching him, where it's, names, faces, who's related to who. If you can remember and stick to that principles, and something I'm trying to teach Anna now, even at 2 years old, as she grows, then you won't be far wrong.
Yeah. I resonate a lot with what you're saying. That's probably why I get along so well with you, Gavin. And I'm so grateful that you're a neighbor too. It's an honor to have you as a neighbor as well, because this is the culture and personality aside from soccer tonight. I had a career change in 2015. I was a food broker and I became a real estate broker. I left the business, sold my shares to my business partner, and I said to my wife, "What am I going to do?" And she said, "You're fantastic at real estate. You should pursue that," because I had a non-compete. I couldn't do that business anymore.
Yeah.
And and my why is that I truly didn't feel like, salespeople in real estate were just as, I'm not going to compare because I don't want to offend anybody, but there wasn't a respect for our profession. And I think it's because the barrier entry is so low. But the key to everything I do is treat people as if the way I want to be treated. And so I even I'm worse than you probably because I also probably insert a lot of my opinion into things. But I always tell people, if it was me, this is what I do. But you're not me. You wanted to know what I think. I'm giving it to you straightforward, man to man or woman to man or whatever, and you make your own decision. But I'm always 100% transparent, and I truly believe in the fact that you treat people the way you want to be treated, and that goes for business as well. You know what I mean? And I think that is probably the secret sauce to your success. Okay, I don't have a lot of time left, and I know I don't have 2 hours, but I'd love to. But we'll do a part two one of these days if you'll allow me. What you've been doing this a while, okay? You've talked about a lot of years of establishing the Good Lad soccer program. You've made a name for yourself in the community. You've made impressions of a lot of children here that are growing up in the area. What makes you tick? What makes you happy? What is it now that really gives you fulfillment in what you've created here? And I know now you're a new dad. You have a daughter of 2 years.
Yeah.
You're a husband of how long now?
God, now. So, Jesus, this is where I was hyping Lee up earlier. Now I'm doing the math now. 7 years.
Okay. But in everything that you're doing now with Good Lad Soccer, truly, and you can think about it for a minute. I like a good pause. What do you find most fulfilling these days?
God, that's a loaded question, and God, I know that really is the $1 million question, and what fills me with that. God, that's a good one. I'm not done yet. It would be the simple answer. You know what I mean? I feel like I've only scratched the surface. I'm not done yet. There's so much, like I said, going back. America is a land of opportunity, and I've only scratched the surface. You know what I mean? So I'm not done yet. There's plenty more to come. I'm only getting started. I still have as much energy since my first session in June of 2014 as I have now on September 26, 2024. It's the same energy, same desire, same hunger, which I think is there. I've still got that immigrant entrepreneur mentality. You're only as good as your next session. So it's not done yet. It's kind of that's what makes me tick. There's still plenty more mountains to climb.
Okay, so you actually feel like you're finally making progress because you know what I hate? I hate again that microwave mentality that everything happens overnight, right? You always hear this
Yeah.
overnight success stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very if there's any kids listening to this, I want you to know that it's very misleading in society today to believe that somebody just has overnight success. That's a very rare occasion. It's hard work and it takes a long way
Yeah.
to get where you culmination of a lot of variables. In this case, he's mentioned Leah. He's talked about different programs, his grandfather. There's so many elements in this recipe of success. There's so many ingredients, and he's saying to us, he's not finished cooking yet. He's actually just starting to prepare an appetizer, and that there's a meal coming. So again, I'm going to put you on the spot. How big is this going to get, man? What are we doing here? Like, are we talking a bigger program? Are we talking more coaches
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah, without giving it all away, hopefully now open third camp location this summer. I think the desire is there, and I think the bandwidth is there for it. Revisit the beach tournament again, 3v3 tournaments again. So it's there's plenty more opportunity out there. So it's but again, going back to overnight success. I know it's great here now. We're talking, not to pat myself in the back, but we're talking, over interviews all the good time. up times, there's down times as well. There's plenty of days when you're out there, you've cones set up in 95-degree heat. Oh, I'm sick and they can't make it. You know that you get that the excuses as well. And you're out there in the pouring rain. You know what I mean? And those Florida thunderstorms. So you take the good with the bad. You know, and you're constantly just being consistent. I was like, it's a great saying with the I don't know any real soccer nerds on here with Arsene Wenger, the Arsenal. I have a great quote here. I have it in the office, and it's motivation comes and goes, but you have to be consistent. And Tom Brady and Kobe Bryant have said the same. If you just take a step every day, if you look back after a year, look how far you've walked. So it's just that's the thing, just being consistent, being motivated, and then going back to what you said there about the kids today are so prevalent with Instagram, and it's so these overnight success stories, but you're just looking at the tip of the iceberg. So it's like you haven't seen what's going on behind closed doors.
1% better every day.
That's
Consistency
it.
and 1% better every day. Really quick, we are a real estate channel. We're wrapping it up tonight. Gavin, it's been such a pleasure, man. This is so easy because I get so fired up just chatting with you, dude. We have this. I don't know what it is with you, dude, but maybe it's just the energy.
Oh no, is that Celtic bond? Across there, the Irish Sea, across England, Ireland, Scotland. So it's I think I must be
Yeah.
that there.
Yeah, I have an Italian last name, and my father was Italian, but I definitely have the long horse face and the Scots Irish long torso and the big neck. But I get a lot of energy from you, and I give it back because I'm high energy. But really quick, as a real estate channel, I have to ask this, and then I'm going to let you go to get back to your family. Um, you moved to Nocatee. You lived in Jacksonville. You got done with soccer. I assume because Leah was in your life, that was a reason to stay. You could have gone back to Ireland. You could have gone back to Europe. You stayed in Jacksonville, and you moved to Nocatee. For all my people I have a lot of real estate people watching here, relocating from all over the country or whatever. How did you? I mean, you got into Nocatee before it blew up as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gotten outrageously expensive. How did you have the vision that Nocatee in St. Johns County was where you wanted to be? Why did you say, hey, why don't I try another part of Florida or go to New York or whatever? Can you give me a little insight on that?
Things that you don't have to be a real estate mogul straight away just to come to Nocatee and see this place is still, even in my opinion, untapped potential. It's the opportunity here is unbelievable. You see what the value for money that you could see when we bought our house. With what you could have for a certain price tag was unbelievable. I thought it was too good to be true. Attracted
It was.
open
It
windows.
was. Wait.
Yeah.
It was too good to be true. For all
Yeah.
of us that got in at that price, it was too good to be
Yeah,
true.
well, and then that'd be your expertise side of things there. But it was more so Leah again takes the credit, my wife, for exposing me to St. John's County because of the school zones, and she was planning ahead for children and all that. And then once I came down here and I seen a look at it, and I seen they're only building and only getting started here. And being an entrepreneur myself, I seen the only way is up here. You're 5 miles from the beach, the amenities. Obviously, like everyone, you do that splash park, spray park tour. You say, oh my God, and you envision taking your kids here on the weekend. You see even then the soccer fields, the cleanliness, everything's on your doorstep, the golf carts, no brainer. It's a no brainer. So if you are watching this from, and you're thinking about moving here, you give Greg a call and definitely, yeah, get yourself down here to check it out over a weekend.
Yeah. We're also having a new library, and I believe in that new park and library, we're going to have a couple more soccer fields. Did you know that?
I did indeed, yes. Oh, I'm well on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we need them, right? I mean, we need more fields, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Great. Well, I think that's a great way to end it for you recommending everybody come down to Nocatee and call Greg. I think that's a great place to end. But aside from that, Gavin, how do people reach you? What kind of programs do you have available? What age to what age? Do you do private coaching? Can you give us a little more insight on the program, what you have to offer, and then finally at the end, what's the best way to reach you and your people in your program?
I'm like anyone. I get asked this a lot, how to get in contact. I'm like Irish American, but my iPhone's never within. It's on my hip pocket. It's a good and bad thing from the moment I wake up in the morning. GoodLadSoccer.com. You reach us there on Facebook, Good Lad Soccer, Instagram, Good Lad Soccer. You'll see email, cell phone number, all that good stuff on there. As for programs are run, the bread and butter of the company is the private training, and I run the sessions myself. Youngest take them on is at 7 right through until high school. Even players that come back from Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving break from college, I work with those guys as well. So it's 7 right through. Plus I even work with a couple of adults that want to get better at their adult league as well. So I work, if you're willing to work, come work, and I'll get whatever talent you have out of you, and like it or not, I'll get the most out of your potential. So yeah, goodladsoccer.com. If you want the most direct way, Good Lad Soccer on Instagram and Facebook for people like that. You can go through. I'll make sure I post on there regularly. You can see the progress of the company, and then during the winter now, we'll have obviously a striker goalkeeper camp with Epic Goalkeeping. I like to partner up with other organizations when I can to really offer something more exciting for the players. That'll be happening at Davis Park in January. Winter leagues. Oh, just, you know what I mean? I could sit here now and we could talk for another hour about upcoming things, but I'm never more than a phone call or a text message away. Reach out to me via Good Lad Soccer and you'll have a response within an hour.
Okay. Really quick, though, selfishly for me, Hannah's only 7. I think she's 7. She's not 8 yet. Honestly, though, just truly, when do you think is a good age for someone who says, hey, my kid's really into it, genuinely, it's not just for me. I want them to improve. I'm not fully reliant on their current coach in the program they're in. I want them to improve, and I don't feel like they're getting there. I mean, honestly, Gavin, as opposed to having one of your group lessons or one of your programs in a group setting, what age is it good for someone to, when is it too early, or is there a certain particular time when it's best to say, hey, Gavin, I want individual one-on-one training for my child? What age is that a good age to start at? Or is there any age? Honestly.
No, there's no specific age I would start at. Majority of my client base is at 9 to 12-year-old age range. That would be kind of where they can really stick to the full hard hour of 60 minutes of practice. And also one big thing that I always would say with the parents know their kid better than anyone. You can see if they're ready for private training. You can see if they're ready for the next little step, and then do everything you can as a parent. You're literally giving them the tools. They got to build the bridge. Let them dictate, and you'll see it out there when they're practicing with their JFC, Florida League, Clay County, and there's people watching from there as well. Let them dictate. As a parent, whenever they're ready, and you come to Good Lad Soccer, you work with me, and I know, even work with thousands, that I'm working with something that you love the most in this world. So that's why I treat them with the utmost respect and that side of things, So I know how lucky I am to be doing that job. So, but no, I was going back to when's the perfect time to start. You can get going now at 7, 8 years old. If they're doing their 3 hours a week through JFC, game of the weekend 4, you need to be working then maybe 6, 7 to 8 hours a week. I try to, a rough estimate, at 7 years old, try to be working 7 hours a week with a ball at your feet. 8, 9, and then you go to that teenage, that's when it bumps up. Then you get into the 20s, 30, 25, 30 hours a week. Then we can go back to the old coaching pedagogy again and bore everyone to death. But at this age, 7 hours, 7 years old. 8 hours a week.
So I think everybody's checked out, even though I still got a lot of viewers hanging on here. So as long as people are watching, I'm pushing the needle here. I'm sorry, but I got to ask one more question. What is your overall impression of our programs here in Jacksonville and St. Johns County? What's your overall perception? Do we have room for improvement? Do we have too much politics? Are we strong? Are we, compared to other areas and everything, how do you feel about our soccer culture here in the area for children, youth soccer?
Nah, it's without doubt, I'll always be straight. That's a loaded question for sure, And there's only so much I can say on camera.
I didn't tell you this was going to be easy, Gavin.
Yeah, it's a loaded question you can ask, but so God, I could, so I'd have to tiptoe around that one. Culturally wise, the clubs are built from the top down, where it's not as community driven as it is in Ireland. And it is the financial side of things is still mind blowing to me that these community youth organizations that finance the side of things, what parents have to pay for the kid to be exposed to travel team soccer. There's only such a small margin of people that can pay that to play. The whole pay, and that's not just going for St. John's County. That's from here. We could get in the car and drive to Seattle. It's the same over there. So it's yeah, a bit of a loaded question, but it is
So
what it is.
how do we make that better? How do we make it more affordable for travel? Because I did notice this is my first year of competitive soccer for 7, 8 year old, and everybody said, "Hey, get ready, it's going to get worse," especially with games in Savannah, Tampa. We got to pay for hotel, we got to travel, all that. I mean, how do we make it more affordable for families that has a really talented soccer player? Are there scholarship programs? Can people donate somewhere to do that, or how does that work?
Yeah, imagine Florida Elite and Jacksonville FC for sure. Jacksonville FC, I've seen something on their website with the scholarship fund. And again, going back to another thing, I want to get a good lad soccer. I'm a couple of years away from it yet. Being able to offer a good lad soccer scholarship where I'm able to pay for kids to do travel team soccer, and kids maybe from the north side of Jacksonville, the west side of Jacksonville, where they can take them and expose them to what we have here in this area. So that's another thing we have in the pipeline for sure over the next few years. But as for that is the system. It's kind of the opposite of what it is in Ireland, where my parents paid more younger and paid less when I went to when I was getting more and more elite. Or over here, you pay less to start, and it gets more and more expensive the farther and deeper you go into playing the game. So without breaking the whole thing down and starting again, it is what it is. It is that's the way it is in a capitalistic society here in America. You just gotta fight your corner, do your best.
So we have room for improvement, but I think we have a lot of athletic talent in this neck of the woods. I lived in South Florida previously, but I find that there's a lot of great athletes up here in Northeast Florida, and the competitive nature and the dedication as parents to the program, despite maybe how expensive it is for these competitive sports. Our PTOs, particularly in St. Johns County, are some of the strongest parents-teacher organizations I've ever seen as far as donations, fundraisers. I'm a donor as well, and I've never seen as much money raised for education as I have here. And so I agree with you, Gavin. There's always room for improvement, and it's unfortunate that it is expensive, but everything costs money, right? Everybody has to live. It's not cheap to live here anymore. But at the same time, I think our parents, and I don't just speak for myself, I know a lot of good parents out there, that we all want the best for our children. And we have some phenomenal kids here, really amazing.
Oh, for sure. 100%. And to piggyback off that, the clubs are the same as well. They do want the best for their kids, and you may be paying a premium product, but you pay premium price, but you do get a good product as well. You look at in Ireland, you don't pay anything, but you're playing on the glorified cow patch of a field. When you out there and train 2-3 nights a week, where you step out of Patton Park, Davis Park, give or take. I'm no groundskeeper expert, but 9 times out of 10, you're on a well manicured, nice turf field with floodlights that are on. Where in Ireland, once the sun sets, there's no floodlights. So that's everything. So.
Gavin, I lived in South Florida, probably some of the wealthiest real estate in Florida. And I'll just be honest with you, dude. There is an artificial turf field in Davis Park, y'all. Okay. For everybody listening, I didn't have an opportunity as a kid to play on artificial turf at that age, or practice for that matter. So I'm amazed by the schools and the high schools and some of our fields here. So I'm going to piggyback on that too. I'm pretty impressed with some of the amenities as well. So, all right, 13 minutes over the hour. This man has to go attend to his family, and I hope he already put his little cute daughter to sleep. www.goodladsoccer.com. It is your duty as a parent. I implore you, if they're not involved in soccer, get them involved in dance. Get them involved in basketball. Get them involved in football. I've watched girls flag football blow up here in St. Johns County. And I will tell you, I can't commend the dads that started that, because what it means for me, I don't really know anything about girls playing flag football because I want Hannah to focus on soccer. But what that means to me is that's one less child that's stuck and glued to a computer screen. That's one less child that's stuck to TikTok, Instagram, whatever the heck it is, for a few less hours. That's one less child that is in depression. That's one less child playing video games. That's one less child trying to figure out how to get a gun and do no good because they're so lost in society. Please, parents, go out there, find a community like what we live in here. Give your kids the opportunity to have leaders like these guide them and show them the true give them the building blocks of building a personality and character, because that's why I moved to this area. And people ask me, do I ever go back to South Florida? I've only been back, my wife's been back once in 6 years, but I love this area. I love the families that are here, and I love the programs and the people like Gavin that are running here. And it is my honor to have you on the show tonight. And friends, I appreciate you all for watching. If you're looking to move to the area, my name is Greg DiTullio. This is Living in Jacksonville channel. I try to get on here every Thursday night and bring amazing people like Gavin to the channel to let you know how amazing this area is. Gavin, thank you, my friend.
No problem, Greg. Pleasure. And thanks again. And hopefully we can do it some other time.
We will.